Hi everyone, my name is Eve. Welcome back to my channel. I'm wearing all black and I'm ready to talk about the worst books of 2023. For the purposes of this video, I will be talking about books that I rated 1, 1.5, and 2 stars because those are the ones I consider to be just books that missed marks for me. I would not recommend them, and I will include one DNF, although technically I know DNFs probably don't belong in this category, but I got far enough into that book to drop it because I thought it was crap. And just a small disclaimer, of course, this is just my opinion. Just because I dislike this book or was disappointed in it doesn't mean that you will be. If you want to read it, you do you. If you have read it and like it, all the more power to you. It's just my opinion, subjective, freedom of speech. Me disliking a book is not gonna hurt anyone. It's not me trashing on the author's writing ability in general, it's just this book did not work for me. Now that that's out of the way, let's go. Since I talked about most of these books in great detail in my earlier videos, I won't go and repeat the same things exactly, I'll just more summarize my thoughts. So I'll start with my 2 stars and then sort of go up or down depending how you want to look at it. And the first one is Broken Summer by J.M. Lee, and it's a translated work. It's about this artist whose wife goes missing on their anniversary, and he is kind of forced to relive this unsolved crime that happened when he was a teenager that his family was involved in, and it could essentially ruin his life if that came out. And I don't know if it was because it was translation and it just didn't resonate with me enough, or if I just went in with the wrong expectations, because I was expecting mystery, suspense, thriller, and what I got was essentially a contemporary, almost coming-of-age drama, and everything just fell flat for me. I didn't like any of the characters, I didn't sympathize, I wasn't too interested in the mystery itself. I read it in February, and I remember virtually nothing about it, and yeah, I would not recommend. I'm only keeping it because the cover is gorgeous, and that's what attracted me to buying it, which just shows that don't judge the book by its cover, because this did not work for me. Another book that technically I did not fully finish it, but I sort of skimmed the ending, is How to Survive a Ghost Story by Maddie Goodenkoff. I don't have it on physical anymore because I unhauled it a while back. And it's about this teenage girl whose father is actually a ghost hunter, and they move to this town for his project, and she essentially recruits these people from her school to go on these ghost adventures with her. And it sounded just like a bit of a YA fun to blow through because it was like 200 pages or less, I think. However, it was so annoying I couldn't even fully bear through those 200 pages because the main character was just the most pretentious, the most annoying person. If I met someone like that in real life, I would definitely mentally punch them. I don't condone violence, but like I would just walk away. I would not talk to this person because just the way that she was written and the way she spoke, it's like it had to have been intentional because no one could write a character like that by accident. But I don't know what the author was thinking because it did not work for me whatsoever. And like I said, I think it says a lot that it was that short and I could not even properly make it through without skimming majorly. So yeah, as far as the plot goes, I don't know, I just thought I get what it was going for, a bit of a satire, but yeah, I mean it was weak, and the whole ghost mythology it had promise, but I just don't think that it was delivered. I think it was the author's debut novel and it showed, but yeah, you can't write a main character like that and expect for people to want to read your book. Like, there was nothing relatable or sympathetic about her, other than she was a good photographer, but that is not enough. Another book is a fantasy, kind of. It's The Graces by Laura Evie, and it's about this girl who, it's kind of meant to be like a bit of the craft with a bit of honestly, I don't even know what it tried to be, but it's about this girl who is this kind of a popular but elusive family at school that everyone says they're witches because they're just a bit off, and she wants to become a part of that clique, and she does so, but obviously it's not what it seems, except this whole book is not what it seems, because I can immediately tell you, without even spoiling the plot, that if you're going in expecting some actual witchcraft and actual magic and supernatural paranormal conflict in this story, you're not gonna get that. It's completely something completely different. And again, I think one can notice a trend that if I don't like any of the characters, I'm not gonna rate the book highly, and I didn't like a single person in this book. And the only reason that I gave it 2 stars to begin with was because I thought it had some promise and it had some genuinely creepy moments. And they did talk about something magical. It was interesting. But yeah, it's actually a rating based on a promise rather than anything else, and it did not deliver. And I know it's part of the series, but I'm definitely not interested in reading it, and hence why I don't have it, because I also on holiday, because I'm trying to make these 2 shelves behind me last as long as I can before I buy a 3rd one, just for space problems. And that means that whenever I don't like a book, I'm just gonna get rid of it right away. So yeah, would not recommend. The next 2 star that I have was unfortunately the first book I read that was provided to me by NetGalley in exchange for an honest review. And it's a shame, like I said, because it was a bit of a crappy start. But it was The Night in the Woods by an extreme horror writer, Christopher Triana, and I was immediately told that this was not an extreme horror book. And it basically follows a group of these friends, former friends I should say, who are now in their 40s, all divorced or just in whatever midlife crisis they're in, and they're invited back to their childhood town by the one friend who stayed behind to basically commemorate the death of the other one of their friends, and then things get weird. And this one, again, I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but I did not vibe with it. I think when I reviewed it, I said that, again, it had promise and it had some creepy scenes, especially in the flashbacks when they did go into the woods. But as far as the story itself goes, I think the main problem for me was that every character, even though we had all of their point of views, every character to me sounded exactly the same, and I just could not identify or like relate or enjoy any of them. I just found all the dynamics really weak, and like I always say, why should I care about the characters in dire situations if I don't care about these characters? So yeah, basically I did not enjoy it, and the twist as well, it just cemented that for me, because I did not like where it went. And obviously I can't spoil that, but yeah, if that is what I can expect from this author, I'm probably not gonna read much more of him, especially not his extreme stuff. Might give him one more chance, but we'll see. This was not an amazing first impression. Finally, I have a physical book that I didn't like, and I kept it because I wanted to have all the author's books together, although I didn't really like this one, and that is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I have spoken in great detail about Lucy Foley both in my previous reviews, and I actually have a deep dive video themed on her books, if that's the right way to say, that I will link in the description below if you're interested. But there's nothing more to say about this one that I haven't already said. It is essentially a mystery of the main character who goes to stay with her half-brother in France in this set of apartments, and when she arrives he's missing and everyone is acting really suspicious, and it's obvious that for one reason or another they didn't like him, and she's trying to sort of just piece what happened and where the hell her half-brother is. And as I mentioned in my reviews and in my deep dive where I ranked them and talked about like the themes and whatnot, this book just missed all the marks. I still give it 2 stars for its potential. And it did have some atmosphere, but for me it was too much of a slow burn compared to her other ones because I have a bit of a complicated relationship with Lucy Foley to begin with. Like neither of her other two books were 5 stars for me, and maybe I thought this one would be different, but yeah, I know this one is a hit or miss for people, so it's not surprising in hindsight, but yeah, this one just, I found it too of a slow burn, as I said. I thought the pacing was a bit off. I didn't really care for the characters. To me, they all sounded the same, and this was the one that suffered from the whole tell not show that Lucy Foley sometimes has the most, because I'm just tired of being told how I'm meant to see a character or how I'm meant to feel about them, and I don't really care to know the character's feelings every 2 sentences. And I understand she was trying to do something different, and I applaud her for it, because we don't want just a repeat of the guest list every year till the end of time coming from her. It's nice that she did something different. It just didn't work for me, and that's fine. And my last 2-star, I've actually spoken about in a previous video, so it's probably still going to be fresh in your mind, but it is Pine. And this is about Lauren and her dad, who is an alcoholic, and they live in this rural Scotland, nearly wilderness, and her mother has been missing for a decade, and every time she tries to talk about it, her dad just goes into a frenzy. And one night they just encountered this woman on the road, and she is the only one who can remember this woman the next morning, and she starts seeing her everywhere, and no one else can. Like, it's framed as this supernatural gothic type of thriller, but like I said in my December wrap-up, I will just summarize what I said there. I was really confused. I thought that this book started out okay, but overall, past like 50-page mark, it just turned into this repetitive mess of just the same things being told to us again and again without many actually creepy moments. And the characters were just okay. And then by the time we got to the plot twist, I realized that I just don't care about them. And I love a good atmospheric setting and description as much as the next person, but for me it was just too much of that and not enough of the story that actually matters. Because like I said, if I don't care what happens to the people involved, you can talk about the pretty wilderness and the woods as much as you want. It's not going to change anything. So yeah, this was more of a, I was debating whether to put this as the worst or most disappointing, but I realized, you know what? I will put it in the worst because it wasn't good enough to even say that it disappointed me, but I'd still recommend it because I would not recommend this one. Does that make sense? Anyway, this is what I feel. Now we are at our 1.5-star category, and I have one that I finished fully and that one DNF I was talking about that I didn't even check the ending in the book, but I went far enough to have an opinion. However, first things first, I will talk about a book that I haven't spoken before on this channel apart from a quick mention in my tier ranking, and that is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I don't need to explain to you what this book is. If you are a part of any type of book community, which I'm assuming you are since you're watching this, you're gonna know what this is about. I read this in January. I think this was the second book I read last year. And I read Verity first, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought, okay, there's no way this was that good. It was that good. No matter what I think about Colleen Hoover, Verity, I enjoy Verity. And I always will. Nothing can take that away from me. If she puts out another thriller like that, I might pick it up. However, her romance, I'm never touching it. And like I said, I'm not even going to explain the plot. We all know this book. When I read it, I actually would have given it more if you asked me as soon as I finished it. Because I thought that this book actually tried to portray an abusive relationship for what it was and some nuance that can happen dealing with abusers in your life. Because let's be real, it's never that black or white as we like to think. And I thought that at least she tried to portray it as something complex, not just oh my god, he's abusing me, but I still love him happily ever after. And I did like that there was no happy ending for these characters after the stuff that he pulled. I did enjoy that fact, and probably why I gave it more than 1 star or 0 stars, because of that ending. And I will say that I can see that she at least tried to have that bit of nuance and to show that yes, we should see this relationship as abusive and bad and everything, because one of the booktubers that I followed since her beginning, Georgia Marie, she's probably never going to see this video, but she actually talked about her other books like November 9 and Ugly Love and whatnot, and thank the lords that she did, because she helped me to never ever ever touch another book of hers again. So thank you for taking that sacrifice and putting yourself through the pain, because that is really helpful. Because yeah, I thought, you know, maybe I'll try one more, but no, not after listening to what she said about those books. But yeah, and after taking all of her books into account, taking everything that she's written about, all sorts of romances that I heard from these snippets of these videos, I realized that this one is actually a bit of a farce, because when you think about it, so I will go into a bit of a spoiler territory, because frankly, I don't really care. I mean, you probably know this book, and even if it is spoiled for you, good, because don't read it, honestly. But basically, so yeah, we see this relationship as abusive, but when you think about it, the way that they tried to deal with his tendencies, it is so unrealistic, and it's actually damaging. And also the fact that her support network was her abuser's sister and her husband. Let that sink in. And it's like, yes, her abuser's sister, yeah, they became friends before he walked back into her life after their chance encounter, whatever. I mean, that was meant to be romantic, I guess. Who gives a crap? Yeah, they became friends before that, but it's like, no matter what, the way I see it, no matter what, sure, I will hand it to the sister. She tried to, you know, be as unbiased and supportive of her as possible, but no matter what, it's gonna be biased on some level, because she was still his sister, and she was always gonna be put in the middle, and that was not fair on anyone. I'm not saying that she enabled his behavior in any way, like, no, but no matter what, the main character needed to have a support network that was not related to her abuser, or like, related by law, whatever. It was not okay. And the fact that she was basically knocked up by him, and of course the kid has nothing to do with it, like, I can understand Colleen Hoover's thought process, I guess, when she came up with it, but no matter what, even if I can try to rationalize it, the fact that she chose for the main character to become pregnant by her abuser means that whatever way, however much, however many custody agreements they come to, blah, 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 she's gonna be tied to her abuser for the rest of her life. Colleen Hoover chose to tie this poor woman to her abuser for the rest of her natural born life. Do you see where I'm getting at? Yeah. And now that I mention it, so I know it starts with a Sal, whatever, I'm not touching it, but I did read some spoilery reviews after I realized that I'm never gonna touch it. And yeah, he might not be like physically outright abusing her anymore, but he's definitely still causing damage. And what support network does she have? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's not okay. And that was a deliberate choice by Colleen Hoover to tie her to this man via them having a kid together. And also her relationship with the guy from her childhood, or should I say teenage years, it's framed as romantic, but sure, he definitely wasn't as bad as the other one, but still, he technically was statutory rape because she was a minor and he wasn't. And technically, yeah, he was homeless because of his own problems, but it just still gives me a bit of an ick. And I mean, obviously, her father was an abusive prick as well, but I could partially understand why he freaked out when he saw them together. Obviously, doesn't excuse what he did to the guy. Nothing whatsoever, but, you know, doesn't mean that, you know, any type of parent would walk into their 15-year-old's bedroom and see them with an 18-year-old and be like, you know, this is fine. You do you. But yeah, of course, you know, if she had to potentially end up with someone, then he's a much better option, especially now that they're adults and whatnot. But yeah, I just think that was a bit icky. And I think, again, we were meant to see that as romantic, but yeah. So, like I said, the reason this is not like lower, because I still gave it 1.5 stars, which some might consider generous after everything I just said. Like I said, it's because, at the very least, putting her other books into context, she doesn't frame the main romance as a romance. Because after some of the stuff that was done in like November 9 or Ugly Love that Georgia Murray so kindly talked about, that was framed as a romance. I was like, at least she didn't do this here. This is not done well. This is not done well, but at least it's done, you know. And like I said, I like that she didn't go even more and like have her fully forgive him and stuff. So I'm not even sorry that I'm spoiling this, but yeah. So yeah, this is the book that I've never talked about on this channel until now, and now I have. Woohoo! And I'm never talking about it again. Now that that rant's over, let's go back to our regularly scheduled programming with books that I have discussed previously. And the DNF that I keep mentioning, that I would give 1.5 stars to, if I finished it, I'm thinking, would be Pieces of Her by Karen Slaughter. And I'm really sorry that this happened, because I still want to read her other books like Pretty Girls and I think it was The Good Daughter, The Silent Wife, both of them. I forget the names, but yeah, because people said that she's dark, she's gritty. I mean, it sounds something right up my alley when I'm in the right mood for it. But I'm just sorry that I tried this one first. It was a part of a Vinted bundle, and yeah, it is not the type of thriller that I like. I was expecting something like suspense or maybe a bit of action, but I just got this like nearly kind of like a spy sort of political nearly type of, not political in the sense of like government, but like just maybe a little bit. But yeah, it was completely not what I expected, and I also didn't really like the repetitiveness in some of the writing. And I think I said in my review that I got like 100 odd page mark, and yes, some action had happened at that point, but I was just like, this is not what I want. And yeah, I think that might have been the point, but I just found the main character to be such a doormat that it was so annoying. I was like, why should I root for you if you can't even root for yourself? It's like, maybe she developed more, but I just did not care to see it. So yeah, I did not enjoy it. And like I said, I think this is more the fact that it was the type of thriller I don't like, but even so, even without that, I don't know, maybe if I read other books by her first and then read that one, I would have been attached to her and more inclined to like power through it. But yeah, it's just like I said, the main character and the writing style and stuff put me off. So, and technically my worst book of the year, I've also spoken about in my December wrap-up because that's when I read it, so I won't repeat myself too much, but it is The Last by Hannah Jameson, and this is framed as a murder mystery set in a hotel during a nuclear apocalypse with these 20-odd strangers just piled up together trying to survive, and the main character stumbles onto a corpse of this little girl. And like I said in my December wrap-up, this is not that. You're not gonna get a murder mystery. The first 20 odd pages are amazing, to be fair. Like, tidying it up a little bit in the last few pages, and 20 pages of this book, the first ones, they could be a short story. That would have been chef's kiss. But what we got is not that. Like I said, I will summarize. The main character was an annoying prick with pretty much no redeeming qualities, who just kept waffling on and on without actually getting anything done. Other characters, I don't even remember their names. There were too many of them. They weren't really relevant. There were no compelling relationships to follow, to care about. The story itself was a bit weak. Instead of murder mystery, a bit weak. A lot weak. Instead of a murder mystery, they tried to do this kind of apocalyptic survival drama, and it was just not what I expected. It's not what was advertised in the synopsis. And it was just, overall, it was slow, sluggish. This book was too thick, definitely. Like, it could have been, like, that long. I mean, I still would have hated it. I mean, I still can't say that, like, I hate it. It did not impress me. I'm being too nice, honestly. Anyway, she says she's being too nice, that she's just dumping on every single aspect, but yeah. It was not for me. I powered through it, sort of just skimming through everything, but yeah, it was not for me. I'm definitely unhauling it. I just kept it purely so that I could hold it while I rant. But yeah, not for me. I would not recommend it. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not me trashing this author's abilities. I'm sure she's a great person. I'm sure she put her all into this book. But I'm not gonna pick up anything by her again. I don't think, because this was a very strong negative first impression. I'm sorry. It is what it is, but that's how I feel. Here we have it, my worst books of 2023. And to be fair, these are the only books that I ranked 2 stars or lower. So I don't think it's that bad considering the amount that I read. But yeah, I will also post the best and most disappointing. I was thinking, should I do most surprising? But then I was like, you know what? Whenever I was surprised, it was in a negative way. Sounds bad, but like, there wasn't a book that I didn't expect to love, and then I did. I always had like medium to high expectations for something, or if I didn't have high expectations, then they weren't met anyway. So yeah, I will make these 2 and post them next, and then I will do just a very short stats wrap up. I think 10 minutes or under, just give it the superlatives a bit of a try, because I've never done it before, so we'll see. But yeah, I hope you like this video. I'm always open for a discussion. This is just my opinion, like I said. This is why we're a community, to talk about what we feel, what we think about these books. And if you did like it, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up. I hope to see you next time. Bye!